Howdy, y'all, and welcome back to Crooked Concepts. Today, we're going to be going over the secret weapon that Nike has in its development, the R&D research team from the LeBron James Innovation Center. We're going to be reacting to four of their most showed-off products, and we're also going to be looking at what really makes the LeBron James Innovation Center so much better than something like Adidas Innovation Center or Under Armour's. Why Nike is so ahead in turning from not only just a footwear company, an innovative footwear company to be exact, into a technological data giant when it comes to sports analysis and explicitly feet, believe it or not. So let's get into the reaction. Before we start, please like, subscribe, and as a thank you, here is a picture of a bunny. So the first product we have up is something new, something different. We're calling it Air Apparel. This in particular is going to be an air jacket. Let's watch.
First product I tried is the most futuristic jacket I've ever seen, because there's a bunch of different materials that jackets can use to keep you warm. Like some of them use wool, some of them use feather, but Nike's next gen jacket uses air. And the benefit of that is that you can now adjust your temperature on the go by just changing how much of that air is in the jacket, using this little pump that comes in the pocket.
Let's do a live pump. It's very immediate. And the interesting part of it is while the air is coming in from one particular point, it's managed to flow to every nook and cranny of the jacket, like it's even in the collar, evenly across both sides. I feel like anymore and we're about to recreate the movie Up.
So you can think of this like an interconnected system of really tiny airbags on the inside that when fully inflated can keep you comfortable in temperatures 20 degrees cooler than when the jacket is deflated.
The temperature difference is actually...
So maybe it's just me. When you first described that you're going to make an air jacket and proceed to pump it up, I imagine you kind of look like the Michelin Man. But honestly, I think it kind of looks pretty fly. I like the color. It's white. It's clean looking. It's got a little patch right here that I don't necessarily love. I kind of prefer if it would be Nike or something. But whatever. It's cool. Like little American flag. Got the little. I don't even know what that little symbol is. It's a nice. It's a real nice jacket. What I think is really cool would be being able to store it in your car or something like that, and then throwing the pump into like the glove box, because you could fold it up, compress it down, and then just chuck it underneath your seat and take it out as a car jacket anytime you need. And it's adjustable. So whether you're in Spain or you're in Colorado during the summer, it doesn't really matter. You're still gonna have a decent jacket. Well, maybe not the summer, spring. You know what I mean?
massive. Like suddenly I feel hot in this quite cold room.
So, like Nike often does, this thing's initially being released for professional athletes, and then it will trickle down for us mere mortals to buy. But I will almost definitely be doing that. Because to have one item of clothing that's going to take up almost zero space when it's deflated, that can
See, zero space deflated.
keep you at your perfect temperature through day and night is kind of like the dream thing to pack for a holiday.
And then if you want to deflate it, whoa. That's
Okay,
almost
that's my favorite.
immediate.
So then we went to Nike's Sports Research Lab for product 2. Essentially, 4,000 athletes a year come here to train and play sport, and while they do that, Nike is...
So this would be product number 2. This one is known as Amplify. I'll give my comments after we're done.
But then the other finding is that some people would benefit from a shoe that propels you forward. So this is Nike's Project Amplify, which they're calling the world's first powered footwear system. When it actually launches in most likely 2027, it will look like this. And so what I got to test is the latest working prototype, which looks a little simpler, let's say. But it is a super interesting glimpse into the potential future of footwear. So there's a few parts to this. There's the shoe, which importantly is actually a pretty great shoe without anything else added to it.
I'm liking the fact there's no laces. Whoa, they're really foamy.
So then that shoe connects upwards to this arm, which is what contains the motor and all the processing power. Yes, processing power in your shoes. And then at the very top is the cuff, which totally doesn't sound like something you would wear when you're on a watch list. Also, though, really satisfying to loosen and tighten. And then you just start walking or running. You take 6 to 8 steps, and by the time you've done that, your shoes have used their processing power to figure out how you're walking, your stride, your gait, and then they start to lift your feet for you, giving you about a 20% increase in the total power of your legs.
Okay, so what is this actually doing? That's probably the big question here. Unless I'm mistaken, we're using an algorithm to figure out a predictive pattern of movement from your walking, and then afterwards we're using probably micro pulses, like how you would on those old workout machines or whatever that you would like strap in your arms. I think they had ab ones too, something like that, but it's real micro. And I believe the idea is to encourage people to walk, if that makes sense, or make walking or running easier. So there was a few different ideas about this. One is you already struggle with walking. This theoretically should help you uh want to walk more. But more than that, let's say your sister is a runner and you are not, and you guys are going to go run a 5K, a 10K, or something like that, and you have never trained, something like this allows you to not cheat, but it allows you to keep up. You know what I mean? It allows you to actually run with your family or keep up with someone who is just a little bit better than you. Like you said, 20% is quite a big difference. Now, the thing is, though, you're cheating on the workout. So, my idea would be you would use this to encourage you to walk to the store, but you would not use this as an everyday item to run. And there's a few different problems with this particular item. I like it a lot, but one problem is the battery. There's no solar panels or anything on it yet, which I think would probably be a good idea because who walks at night for one? But two, what happens when your battery dies? Now I just have this giant cuff on me that's just going to be walked around. I don't know. I don't hate this one. I just didn't like it as much as some of the other products. We'll keep going. Okay, this next one is known as AeroFit. It is not revolutionary, but it's cool. It's cool, and you know what? It is an improvement. And the lady, will tell you the improvement. You'll see.
Test product 3, Nike's next gen sports clothing, which I was initially expecting to gloss over, but it's actually really interesting. So you might know that over the years, Nike has had a bunch of different lineups of clothing. They've had Dry Fit to keep athletes dry, they've had Thermofit to keep athletes warm, Storm Fit to keep athletes protected, and so the new one is AeroFit, and it's designed to fix a very specific problem. See, the world's getting hotter. Athletes are having to play physically demanding sports in often desert-like temperatures, so they're going to sweat a lot. The issue is, though, that the purpose of sweat is to cool your body down, but that cooling is only happening if the sweat is specifically evaporating off your body, not soaking into your clothes first. Nike actually has these insanely impressive but also super gross lab simulations of all this stuff, including dummy models that produce artificial sweat as they walk, and even an exercise bike in a hot room that actually has a pool of real human sweat on the floor. They're actually measuring how much liquid comes off of athletes that use the room, because the way they see it, every drop that hits the floor is a drop that isn't being evaporated off the skin and is therefore wasted. And the learnings from all of these very strange studies have been bottled together into AeroFit. So it's a new set of materials. It's stitched together in a looser way to let more air pass through the gaps in the fabric. But the thing that I find so interesting about it is the company has looked at athletes playing each sport separately in their labs. They've realized that air travels in a different way around the athlete depending on which sport they're playing, and then they've tweaked the stitching accordingly for each of these sets of clothes to make sure that the maximum possible air is guided across the body to get that sweat absorption from the skin. So for running, for example, the vast majority of the air is coming in straight from the front. So this middle area here is where most of the air is going to be allowed through the fabric. And then these dense meshes keep the air inside the cloth so that it travels around the sides of your body until it reaches the back, where it's then guided out. Kind of like an exhaust. With a sport like tennis, a lot of the air comes in from the sides, so that is where you find the larger perforations on the tennis top. And with weight training, your core is relatively still, with much more of the motion happening in the upper half.
So I'm saying it's not revolutionary, but it is an innovation design. What they're doing is they're specializing apparel like shirts. They'll probably eventually do something like shorts and that kind of thing, but explicitly for specialized sports. So, like he said, fucking running, you're going to be hitting a lot on the chest. Tennis, we're kind of in a little box and we're getting blown on the side a lot. Weightlifting, it's a little bit all over the place. Basketball, I could see it kind of coming in from the back because I'm having to backtrack, keep my eye on the ball. Um, it's just an overall interesting design of how to keep yourself cooler and more efficient. We did not get to the number I wanted yet, so we'll keep watching for another second.
That's where the training tops are designed to have max air intake.
Okay, I am aero fitted. It just feels like a shirt right now, but I'm going to try and sprint in a straight line backwards and forwards to see if I can notice the way the air moves around me. Does this actually work? Oh. Think of jerseys as an ever-evolving thing. You think surely by now we've been making them for 100 years, they're done.
That's right. The numbers that we got from the NSRL is that the air permeability is 238% more than our legacy dry fit.
238% more than their legacy dry fit. That is crazy. So the dry fit is not meant to keep you cool. It is meant to keep you dry. This one, on the other hand, is designed for air permeability and to keep you nice, cool, and have the sweat evaporate through the skin and keep you at the optimal temperature. Oh, excuse me. This last product is known as the Mind Shoe. And after that, we'll start getting into the LeBron James Innovation Center and why they're able to make these absolutely insane ideas. And just let's just watch this one. This one I think is probably my favorite, especially for the office.
Brain started flipping out at the possibilities of a mind-controlled device I was going to get to test, and then I was handed a shoe. But here's the thing. It kind of is one. So, as well as the traditional footwear departments that build shoes by looking mostly at your feet, Nike's also got this completely separate mind science department in their HQ, which has been working on this set of shoes by instead looking at your brain. And that journey has led them to these bumpy little things. So you've got the Mind 1, which is the slider version of this concept, and then the Mind 2, which is the sneaker version. And the best way that I can describe this to you is, you see all these little orange bubbles at the bottom? These are nodes. There's 22 of them, and each is positioned kind of like with acupressure at specific points in your feet that they've found trigger the biggest reaction from the brain. See, unlike the chassis of the shoe, which is firm, you can push these nodes in. And because there's only a very thin layer between the nodes and your feet, you can feel a sort of massaging effect every time you take a step.
It kind of feels like I have a layer of bubble wrap beneath my feet. And as I raise and lower my heel, I can feel pop, 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 pop.
But see, this isn't just acupressure. It's not just that you can push the nodes in, they can be pushed in any direction. And because your feet feel so connected to them, you can feel how they're being pushed, which is the weirdest thing because it means while you're wearing these shoes, you can feel the texture of the surface that you're on.
Feels like the weirdest thing to say, but I can tell this is concrete.
I tried them on a racing track, I tried them on AstroTurf, and you can actually feel the blades of grass. So I just found these addictive to wear. The massage.
So this was the really cool one that I thought it was. It just gives you really strong stimulations to the brain. One of the criticisms I saw that I loved was like, what if you got a piece of gum stuck to your shoe or something like that? I thought that was the funniest thing because it's like, what if you stepped in dog shit in your Jordans? You know what I mean? Like, they're not meant to be clankers that you go and mow the lawn in. They're supposed to be, I go to work in these every day. They're my nice shoes. They're my dress shoes. They're something that I want to feel a little more grounded. It's my happy day. It's Friday, that kind of thing. I think they're really cool. This is a pair that I would buy. I love it. I love it. We'll finish the video real quick, and then we'll get into the Innovation Center.
Feeling, but also how being able to feel what you're walking on is quite grounding. And that makes complete sense with what Nike's trying to do.
I didn't know he was going to say that. I did not know he was going to say grounded right afterwards, but that's funny.
Because, I mean, have you ever tried meditating? If you have, you'll know that the first thing they often tell you to do is to direct your attention to the sounds around you, or focus on the surface you're sitting on. They do that because this kind of stuff brings your mind back to the present. And it kind of feels like these mind shoes are going for a very similar thing, to force you to mentally lock in. They're primarily designed for athletes to wear in the changing rooms, to make sure that they hit peak performance when they step onto the pitch. But I kind of like the idea of wearing them in my living room to make sure that I hit peak performance at, well, lunch. The only thing.
Okay, that's about the end of the Mind video. Let's get on to the Innovation Center. So this is the LeBron James Innovation Center. It is in Western Oregon, and we're going to talk about why it is the best.
lies a 750,000 square foot plus complex. So secret, few are allowed past the lobby.
If you love sports and you love product, this is kind of Disneyland.
Hundreds of motion picture cameras surrounding an indoor soccer pitch, speed sensors encircling an Olympic racetrack, electronic pressure plates embedded in a basketball court, biometric hookups to assess a runner's gait and posture, a hermetically sealed room that mimics the brutal heat and humidity of a Tokyo summer. All told, more than 800 pieces of testing equipment under the roof of the LeBron James Innovation Center, home to the Nike Sport Research Lab. An evolution from the company's experimental kitchen counter roots and a nod to its future of putting the athlete first.
This is our Nike Sports Research Lab in our Innovation Center, and this is the home to dreamers, creators, makers, engineers, some incredible teammates of ours who are all dreaming about serving elite athlete problems.
Yeah, what Nike as a brand.
Okay, they're just going to start talking about Nike more. And I'm going to defend why this is the best. This is by far going to be the most technologically advanced research facility for athletes. Nike is not necessarily special in this idea because Adidas has something like this, Under Armour has something like this. However, Nike has the highest scale. They are the most dedicated to athlete performance labs compared to something like Cells and shoe markets or something like that. They're not being a shoe business or an apparel business anymore. They are instead trying to optimize athlete performance in ways that if we didn't have the data, you would be guessing. I'm trying to explain it in the right way, but this is a very technical idea at this particular point because of the amount of information that they're having. So something that Nike has that other places don't have is the motion captures, the however many cameras they have. They beat all the other innovation labs, including Adidas, including Under Armour's. They are the pinnacle, the top tier when it comes to lab research, and having the tools and the data needed to actually innovate on something like footwear, clothing, to understand that, hey, maybe being dry isn't how we stay cool. Maybe we actually want the sweat to do something. We need that kind of data. And at the end of the day, that's why I'm placing my money on Nike. My option call is 40% down, and guess what? We will still be buying more calls. This is about both conviction, concentration, and balancing. You want to keep options open, but you want to also be able to enjoy the ride upwards and protect yourself in case the ride goes downwards. That's all for Crooked Concept, guys. Stay safe. Hope you guys are making money out there. And until next time.